So before we get into our making our props, I found out about this new camera, and it's called the Q Cam, or maybe Q Cam. I'm not really sure how you say it. It's QOO Cam, and it's all one word. So QOOCAM, and it's really awesome. So you guys know that I'm sort of into new filmmaking techniques, and virtual reality is a brand new filmmaking technique that people are using. And but the problem is that most of the cameras are super expensive. So for a really good camera, and you can pay upwards of actually getting, one camera plus a rig plus the second camera for both eyes, and then uh, software that's really hard to find, and it's almost impossible to do any sort of virtual reality filmmaking, right? So this particular camera, the QCam or QCam, has some really cool features. In fact, it has you can do time lapse with it with the software that it comes with. And the way it works is it's got three cameras on one stick. The two cameras are for stereo recording. The other side is there's a 360 cam. So one side has one camera that's sort of like a fisheye lens, and then the other side has the two lenses, right? So the software that it comes with will take input, I guess, from all three lenses. It's either all three or one on the front and one on the back. And it will stitch the images together to make like a 360 view of whatever you snap a picture of. So you can be in a studio or on a trip if you want to, whatever. But for stop motion filmmaking purposes, a lot of people have blogs and they want to share pictures of their studio. So you just use this one camera, you snap a picture, and you've got a 360 view of your entire environment, right? It's pretty awesome. And then with the stereo capabilities, you have essentially what are like two human eyes, right? So the space between these two lenses is about the same as the distance between your own eyes. And when you snap a photo, you can use virtual reality headsets or goggles or like Google Cardboard or anything like that with your camera or with your phone, and you can view stuff in 3D. So it's a 3D camera, but what's awesome about it is that it has a USB connection that you can hook up to your computer to have a live view on your screen, and you can capture single images. So that means you can actually do stop motion for virtual reality in either 360 or in 180. Now, I don't think 360 is the way to go for stop motion, because obviously you want to light your sets and things like that. You want to have everything set up that that your camera can't see, such as maybe C-stands or lighting rigs or things like that. You want that stuff out of view, right? So 180 is probably the better way to go for virtual reality. And it's also in stereo, right? So you can actually see depth of your puppets, walking around. You can sort of see them like they're really there in front of you, not as opposed to just on a 2D screen. So anyway, I have not, I haven't purchased it. I have no affiliation with these guys or anything, but I was just really excited when I saw it. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Just think of the possibilities. It's something that hasn't really been done before. So let me get rid of that on my computer screen and put my webcam on. Let's see. Okay, it seems to be on good. Yep, there it is. Alright, so anyways, wanted to share that with you guys. So yeah, welcome guys. So I see Nordican is here, Whiskey and Wee Beast. And I know Janet's probably still here. Okay, so anyways, last week, to jump into this, we worked on some more stuff. We worked on, obviously, the apples. We got 4 apples and all these little eyelids and stuff. So what I did after last week, after the show, was I took a piece of paper and I covered everything like this because I didn't want any dust to get on anything, right? Not that, it's not super dusty in here. I actually cleaned up pretty good in this room, so it's not sterile, obviously, but it's not as bad as it was. And so I covered it up, and then a moth came and flew into the room and So one of our cats got really excited about this moth and jumped up here and smashed the paper and smashed a bunch of these things. So I had to sort of resculpt them before the show a little bit. Not too much, but they did get a bit flattened out, unfortunately. But we've got our little list of things we want to make here. Some chicken scratch that I scribbled on some paper there. So we got our chewed apples done. We have our eyelids. So we had to make like a rock, and the rock is going to be an instrument to hurt one of the people in the film. So I'm going to use some clay to do that. Obviously, that's what I'm using for everything. And I probably should have taken this stuff out before. But so our goal really is just to make some more props and things. So we've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 6 props to make, which seems like a lot. And I don't know if I'll finish it all today, but I'm not going to rush it. I'm going to take my time. And since I've got some gray clay here, so this is some Sargent art clay. Now we also sell this on our webpage on stopmotionstore.com. Hold on, everybody. Sorry about that. Okay, so Sargent art clay is really good for this kind of stuff. This is actually a few years old, and it's actually great. I mean, it hasn't dried out or anything. The Craft Smart clay that I brought, it did dry out, so I don't recommend using Craft Smart. So how big to make this now? This is going to be the rock first. Kind of have in my mind what I want this to look like. Make a ball first. No, Janet, I didn't watch the moon. I'm not in the right part of the world for that to happen. Excuse me. But I heard about it. Did you watch it? My wife also asked me that. When are we going to see the blood red moon or whatever they called it? And somebody said to me, nope, you can't. Wrong part of the world. Hey, Hoser Lou. Welcome back. So, one of my neighbors had a birthday party the other day. And I met his brothers. And one of them is a musician, and his father was a musician from the 1950s that mingled with a lot of the famous rock stars of the day like Elvis and everything. And they were asking, we wish that, they're like, we have like 300 songs that their deceased father, who passed away when he was only 43 years old, they're like, yeah, we got hundreds of these songs. We want to get them on the internet. Do you know how to, do you know any way to do that? Or is it easy to do that? And how do you record it and all this kind of stuff? And I explained to them how to do it, how it would be done. And they were excited that maybe they could do that one day. And I thought, they might be kind of good people to ask about making music for this film or future films. It's kind of cool, like you just run into people that have artistic abilities. Oh, NASA was streaming it. That's cool. Oh, it was your birthday. Awesome. Happy birthday. Your birthday's close to mine. My birthday was July 18th. So you and I are pretty close in age, or not age, but in our birthdays. That's pretty awesome. So did you have a good birthday? Was it pretty fun for you? I know you're in Poland, so I don't know like really what all the birthday customs are over there, but all right. So we got ourselves something that kind of looks like a rock here. We can maybe put a little crack in here. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just making this up. I had this idea in my head as to what this rock might look like, and I'm just kind of going for it. Oh, you're 24. So you're saying you're gonna be 24 on Thursday, perhaps? Oh. Birthday is on the 24th. Oh, awesome. So it looks like you're all born in a similar month and everything. Awesome. I think that's kind of a rare thing. Chad says, I had a birthday cake with Incredibles 2 logo. Cool. Yeah, we went and saw that movie. It was pretty good. I really liked it. I think I mentioned it last time. A little bit predictable of a film, but Pixar's got some awesome work. Okay, so, I don't know. Let's see here. This doesn't have to be really super detailed or anything, but I think this is going to be alright. Got a rock that we can throw. Yeah, this is probably good enough. Maybe I can sort of give it a little bit of like a texture like this. This is sort of what I did with the grass, to kind of shade parts of it, make it look like there's darker patches. So along the back edge I might kind of really dimple this up, so you guys can kind of see up close, maybe here. Just kind of get in here and give it that sort of a texture. There we go. That should be pretty good. We lighten that up a tad bit there. Slightly less up top. Alright, so we got ourselves a rock. That's about all we need to do with that. So then we have a tombstone. So that's going to be simple, but I want to make it a little bit larger than these little props here. It's got to be big enough to put some letters on. There should be more than enough clay here, I think. Yeah. So I kind of roll up this clay to a ball. So that's what I kind of like to do when you tear clay up from the main piece like this. You're getting something that's got a lot of angles and stuff, and you can't just start sculpting on something like that. So just through habit, I'll just like take it and ball it up like this. kind of got this little bit of a brown streak in there, which I like. So I'm going to use that as part of the tombstone. So I'm going to kind of squish it so that's visible. As Bob Ross would say, it's a happy accident. I think Ron Cole tried to tell me that I was like Bob Ross. But anyways, so let's see. Janet says, today is anniversary of Warsaw Uprising and Mike Tyson made a video about that. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I know my dad probably knows all about that. He's very much into Poland and all that kind of stuff. I was recently studying, I'm studying some World War II stuff right now. I find it kind of a fascinating time period, and I think that a lot of like politics are similar today as they were back then. You know, a lot of stuff in history just repeats all over and over again, and we go through cycles of ups and downs, and so it's always kind of fun to learn, you know, how people did things back then. And so there's this this forest in Poland where I actually had some of my relatives have been killed in Poland from Russia. And the forest is the Katyn forest. So two of my uncles were Polish officers, and so yeah, you can send me a video if you want to, sure. But two of my uncles were Polish officers. You know, this is going back, I don't know what year it would have been, like 1941 or so, maybe. And so, from what I understand, Russia went into Poland and they gathered up all the intellectual people, all the professors, all the maybe the artists, you know, the priests, the military leadership, anybody that had any kind of status, you know, that would try to change the minds of others, that went against what Russia wanted. They took to a big forest and just massacred everybody, like hundreds of thousands of people. You know, it's like just for the reason of trying to extinguish anything that they opposed. So my uncles are buried somewhere out there in the forest in one of many giant mass graves and stuff, you know. And that's somewhere in Poland, I guess. And so I know there's a lot of stuff that happened in Poland. Like, I don't know much about that Warsaw Uprising thing. I do know from just watching the news that I think, like, the courts in Poland right now, they're getting rid of what is it? They're making all the senior, what are they called? Like Supreme Court members retire early or something like that. They want to get rid of those people because of their ideas. You know, that's how it always is. So they want to get rid of those people and instate some other kind of ideas, and I'm not sure what those ideas are. Maybe you know, more fascist or something like that. I think that's what's going on around the world lately. Like I say, I'm pretty much not up on all that stuff, and I'm surprised that you're saying that Mike Tyson understands the Warsaw Uprising. You know, I mean, Mike Tyson is not known for his intellectual abilities, so it's a little bit surprising. Yeah. Well, you know, Janet, there are definitely bad people everywhere. Every country has bad people. Every single one. My country, every country. But my grandparents had to flee because of the Nazis. A lot of my family was also killed by Nazis. So my family was killed by Russians, by Nazis. You know, on my father's side. I mean, it's pretty sad what happened. My current living uncle doesn't even talk about the things that he saw to this day, and I think he's like 80, 83 now, something like that. Won't even talk about it. So it was really, a horrible time. All right, so here's the shape of our tombstone now. So I want to put on here just R.I.P. Kind of a cliche thing to put on a tombstone, but we're keeping this film kind of simple. This is not super complicated stuff. And this is also meant for kids, so I'm not trying to go for anything too where it takes too much thought, I guess you could say. All right. I don't know, should I put a cross at the top or just leave that blank? Maybe I should leave it blank. I'm going to keep it religious neutral. In Iceland, oh yeah, there's definitely evil people. I heard they locked up a bunch of bankers and stuff there, didn't they? Absolutely, in Iceland, there's bad people. Absolutely. And everybody that's living has a bad side. Everybody. Even me. I have a dark side. And I'm not even joking. Okay. Yeah, I think that's one thing that's important, and one thing that I've actually been contemplating because, uh, you know, the only way people improve is by admitting that they're not perfect. That's a hard thing to do for some people, but sometimes I'll just kind of like late at night before I sleep or something. I'll just kind of think about stuff like, maybe I should have done something a different way to be, not to annoy people or hurt people, or like I'm thinking, do I ever, am I doing anything wrong? And sometimes I think to myself, yeah, I did do something wrong. I'm contemplating things about my own actions, and I think that's something that people should do more often, honestly. Because once you kind of think that, oh, I'm a great person, or if you cling to the idea, like somebody says, oh, that Nordic in Pictures person, I really like them. They're really nice. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you kind of cling to the idea that, oh, I'm great, people like me, I have lots of friends, and I don't have a lot of enemies. Even still, you can still improve, and so yeah, I know I sound like Mr. Morals here, but that's just that's stuff that I think about. I myself am definitely not perfect, and people are pretty much all the same. It's just and in learning psychology, if you to study psychology, the brain is the way the mind works is really amazing. I mean, the things that you're not really aware of are many. Okay, that's pretty good. R.I.P. So I'm going to also kind of texture this like I did with the rock. Kind of give it some stony texture here. So it does resemble stone and it's not too perfectly smooth. So Janet says, The worst is when TV or newspaper not use German Nazi death camp, but Polish death camp. Oh. Well, Auschwitz, yeah. I mean, the Germans went in there and they rounded up people from all over that area, even up in like Norway and stuff. People that were religiously motivated, like Jehovah's Witnesses, and anybody that was deemed to be I guess if you weren't of a certain ethnicity, like a certain race, if you were not pure, you must be exterminated. And I had and I'm going to tell you guys something, and this is, I know this is out there on the internet, but I have been discussing that particular issue on Facebook, the place where, everybody kind of argues a lot about politics and all that. So, but, that kind of dehumanizing of people is a big problem right now in my country, in America. And putting down others because of where they're born or color of their skin, that kind of stuff. And, one of the pitfalls, I'll kind of show you guys what this looks like so far. One of the pitfalls of dehumanizing others is that it makes it very easy to try to exterminate them. Right? It really, it sounds silly to say that, but I watched this one film that was really fascinating, and you can watch it on YouTube. Let me look it up real quick for you guys. Let me just texture this a bit, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. Since we're talking about Poland, I'll tell you guys the name of it. Let me just look it up real quick. Take me 2 seconds here. And I would recommend highly that anybody who's interested in how things get really bad are you kidding me? I can't log in here. Alright, 1 second. So if you want to know how things get really bad in the world, what the heck here? Well, I can't find it right now. But if you look up the film on YouTube called something like The Lightness of Being a Nazi, I think it's called. It's about this guy who was in Poland, right? Or actually, it was about a soldier that went to Poland. And so I'll just tell you guys, he goes there and they save all the people that were prisoners. And they go to the camp, Auschwitz. They liberate it, so now everybody's saved, whatever. And they all take trophies. Can't see what I'm doing here. Where's my thing? There we go. I think this is probably pretty good. Let me just texture the sides. But they all take trophies, because soldiers will go in and ransack and look for, I think they were trying to take relics and things like that back from, to the United States and everything like that, because it's a historic moment. You're finding some Nazi camp and they have all this stuff going on, and you were there, and then you get these relics, and then you have them signed by your buddies, and you go back home and it's like, yeah, we destroyed these Nazis and captured them, and we're bringing them to justice and all that kind of stuff. So they find this picture album, and the picture album is from Auschwitz, right? So all the generals, all the people that were there, a lot of women were there. The women, they would be there, and they would, dismount people from the trains as they came in to separate the people from their families, children from mothers and all that kind of stuff. Oh, okay. So Nordican is saying your family is Russian Jewish. Okay, so yeah, your family would have definitely been you know, suspect back then, right? They might have been killed. But so they found this album from Auschwitz, and it's a really rare find because they could like identify people who were, operating the gas chambers and all that kind of stuff. And so part of the album had this one interesting tidbit of information. It had a date, right? And the date showed that when the pictures were taken, it was at the height of the mass killings of all these people that were brought to Auschwitz. So we're talking like thousands of people, like in a week, just murdered. Maybe more than that, maybe tens of thousands. So many that they actually had been burning bodies. I know it's a really heavy topic, but they're just burning bodies in fields and all this kind of stuff. And this is all in Poland, where you're from. And I mean, I'm sure you must know all this stuff already, but really horrific stuff. And so in the album, you look at the pictures, and what's crazy is all of the people are so happy. And I mean, like, they're sort of, they have musical instruments that they're playing. They're one of the sets of pictures shows these women, and they're out of blueberries. They have little containers, and each one had blueberries in it, and one of them is making a joke, sad face, that they don't have any blueberries left. Almost, I mean, and if you think, in these camps, they didn't feed the prisoners much of anything. And these people were starving, and to sort of mock, make these faces about not having food, all the while they know that thousands of people are dying, and they're killing them and gassing them and all that. It seemed like they were having a normal day. And actually, they were at a resort. They were on like a vacation kind of thing, for a few days, I guess. And you ask, like, how can people be so evil? What is it that would justify what they did? And it has a lot to do with the fact that they were dehumanized in the media. Which happens a lot. It's going on in our country, on the internet. A lot of these fly-by-night news agencies and crappy-looking web pages where they have people rehash news and all. What they do is they dehumanize anybody that's on the outside. Immigrants and all that kind of stuff. So we were discussing this on Facebook, and how it's really wrong to dehumanize people. And these people, immigrants, a lot of them are fleeing violence, and gang violence and wars and all this kind of stuff. And they come to your country, and then you put them in cages and separate them from their families, and traffic them across the country to different prisons. And then you drug them, like in our country. It came out in the news that we were literally giving drugs to manipulate children into being docile, forcibly drugging them without their parents' permission. And this is all very, to me, it's really scary stuff. And so when people on Facebook post things, and one very prominent stop motion artist that most of you guys might have heard of was, he said something that really bothered me. He said, and he didn't know like my strategy, maybe he did, but he said, essentially, don't ever let people humanize those other people. Don't let them do that. Don't ever let them do that, because you're gonna get destroyed. And I thought, wow, this guy is somebody I looked up to, and to demonize people that way, as if they're all enemies, including children. And then this other stop motion animator said, how many of you will go to these camps that we have here? Because we have these camps in America. Now they're not concentration camps like the Nazis. They're not burning them and shooting them in the head. But some of these children, one of them just recently died, separating them from their families and this kind of stuff. So, and I just thought, wow, and I said, well, don't you see that this is how, and I posted a video of a concentration camp survivor, a woman who had been in the camps, and the topic was how the Nazis dehumanized others. And that's really what happens. You dehumanize people and it becomes easy to exterminate them, So, and it's just by pure coincidence that this particular film we're working on here is actually about that topic. And so I thought, wow, my film is really relevant, to what's going on. And it's just strange how, and I'm thinking, is there any way to make a difference in the world with that, and will this film make a difference? And am I just fooling myself, or what, or does it matter? So my brain has been, my brain's been really, the wheels have been turning a lot, because, history does not look back on that kind of stuff, at least for the majority of people. That kind of stuff is condemned, but right now it's making a resurgence in the world. And so it just really, I'm just thinking to myself, I can be nice, and all these animators that I know, that I've looked up to since I was a kid, and I know their names, and I know their work, and I thought, well, I could be silent and not make waves, or I can speak up and try to, defend people that are defenseless, and maybe hurt my chances of ever working in stop motion if I make them mad. But I decided that, in my mind, I said, well, I'd rather defend, people like that than worry about my, money. To me, that's just silly. So I don't know. Some people, stuck up for what I was saying, which is nice, but it's one of those things where you kind of feel I don't know what the word is, but definitely disappointed in the way people can just not understand that people are all the same. It doesn't matter where you're born, and that you'd have to explain that. And the real problem is that people put out stories that scare others about people that are from the outside, and make it out like the problems are 10 times worse than they are. And so you have to, in my mind, I'm thinking I have to do something, and I think that we should, resist that kind of mentality and try to humanize people back, again, because if we don't, history will definitely repeat itself for sure. And I don't want my son to grow up in that kind of world, so that's why I speak out, even though I might hurt myself if people disagree with me. So anyway, I know I'm just babbling about a heavy topic, but that's kind of what's been on my brain lately. So I'm really curious, how to counter that with the skills that I have. And so it's kind of cool that, at least I'm making a film, I'm expressing that kind of, I'm trying to make a change with my film. And while it might seem a little bit crazy, and I could make a film that's kind of more action-packed and fun or whatever, but I'm definitely happy to do this. So anyway, I don't know. Whatever. So what else has been going on with you guys out there? let's change the topic. We got about 20 more minutes left. So you can see here the pitchfork I'm making, which is just a simple metal pitchfork on the top, and I got some texture on the bottom. So I'm going to kind of put a wood texture in there, as you can see. Now I think I'm going to put maybe a lighter streak of brown on this handle, just to kind of make it look, make that wood grain pop just a little bit. So I'm going to take a piece of lighter brown and kind of roll it out. Like this. Lay it on the handle. It's going to be tricky if I can get it to stick on there. Like such.
Sorry, something went wrong.
I wasn't talking to you, Alexa. Oh, hey, Coles. And hey, Choconic team. Welcome. So, Coles says, I've been very busy with my stop motion. I'm glad I have some time to join in real quick. Cool. Well, we were just talking about some crazy heavy topics, which I won't go into. You can watch the show later if you want to. But we're working on these props. So we have our pitchfork here. We made a rock and a tombstone. So these are all little things that are, these are like the final things that really need to be made for the film. And, ooh. So right now I'm just kind of going on here. I'm just going to add one more streak of light brown here, I think. So that's cool. So you've been busy on your film, and so how far along are you on your project? If you don't mind me asking. Alright, so we got our thinned out, thin piece of clay here. Let's see about how thin that can get there. It's really small. Stick it on the side. Oops, okay, so there we go. So I'm going to kind of blend this into the handle. Should look pretty good, I think. So these little props, I think I might have mentioned this last time. I'm probably going to photograph them at different angles in the light so that I can, when I animate these, as they move around, the light will look kind of natural. Because I know if I photograph this and then spin it around digitally in the air, it's going to look a little bit strange because the light will be coming from one angle as opposed to, you know, as it turns. So imagine the light always following it no matter where it is. I want to try to avoid that. I don't know how much of a problem that's going to be, but something I had in mind. But that should be good there like that. So we got our little prop done. And I don't play Final Fantasy. I don't know. I've heard it's good though. And Nordican says, I finally got to post-production of my stop motion, which has been taking forever. Awesome. That's going to be a good feeling. And Coles says, I'm pretty far. I've got about 4,000 pictures going with me editing it and adding special effects. So you're doing it in chunks. I see. That's pretty smart to do it in chunks. I think that, you know, if you try to um, do, you know, something tedious like editing, you might get tired of it or burnt out. So breaking it up probably helps with that. So I can't remember. So Colas, are you doing your film all by yourself, or are you having help? Do you have any friends that are helping out, or? So I'm gonna make a shovel next, by the way. I mean, I always wished I had somebody that could help out with my films, and sometimes I've had people that will help, but or wanted to help. But sometimes their skills were not really up to what I was looking for. So I'd politely tell people that, you know, I can't use their help. Or so you're doing it alone, okay? Hey, hero, welcome back. It's gonna be the shovel, so I'm gonna add a little. Let's do this. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a good idea to do things in chunks. I mean, sometimes if you had to animate every single day on a project, that can get tedious. I know in my mind, I like to jump around and to not stick to one thing all the time. I'm always multi-creative, so I'm always like, oh, I want to spend time, you know, painting a background or making a puppet. And the next moment, I'm thinking, oh, I could do this title sequence, you know, within Photoshop, and that's how it was for me on Zombie Pirate Tales. I would always kind of jump around on different things. And the thing that I did last was to animate. You know, of course, there's editing and everything after that, but almost in every single case, if I could put off animation for a while and work on a prop to sculpt or something, I always would. And that was a bad thing, by the way. Not a good thing to do. Alright, come on, shovel. Get this part smooth. It's going to be the head of our shovel. And so I've got this clay. I've got like two kinds of colors of clay here, or three. I got some red. We got some. I don't want the blue. That's not good. Cut that part out. But this shovel handle I'm gonna make by pinching this clay right here and getting all these colors. Oops. So that it can kind of swirl into the handle. Hopefully it works. Let's see if it works. Make a ball. And roll out the handle. So I want those different colors in there. Let's see how this comes out. Ooh, should be pretty good. There we go. I don't know if you can see that. That came out pretty good. Looks like wood, right? And I haven't even put lines in there, so this would be nice. So I might change the shape of the handle. Like this one's really straight, so this one I'm gonna kind of go with the. Yeah, actually, this is gonna be alright the way it is, and I'll make it about the same height. Let's see here, so start around there. Something like this. There we go. It's simple, but that's okay. It's totally fine. So by the way, the rock is also a weapon. So these are like just weapons that the people will use to beat up the outsider. So what else do we have? We have a pickaxe as well. It's pretty easy to make. Oh, you know what? I should have textured the handle here first. Let me do that. So maybe I'll follow like the line, the color on the side here. So the grain will follow that and it'll look natural. Hopefully. Outside of the fact that this is actually clay. Alright, that's going to be alright like that, man. Not too worried about it sticking together because it's going to be laying flat always. So not worried about it. Yep. Actually, on animateclay.com, if you go there, I posted that in the news, on the world news page. I posted one of them today, and the first one that Justin made, I posted way back, I guess maybe a couple months ago. Seems like maybe 2 months ago. No, it's been a while. So let's see. So I'm not keeping up with you guys here. So Nordican says, what production software do you use? And yep, I use Dragon Frame. I also use Sony Vegas for editing. And Coles asks, what's the best material or substance to make a puppet? Thinking about making puppets for my next animation. Well, probably if you could, maybe fabric for the clothing and whatnot, and then clay for the head. That's usually pretty good. You could also use, like, if you have a 3D printer, 3D printed faces. You can use wood. I mean, clay is pretty good. Don't get me wrong. I really love clay. But if you're going for a large production, or you want to have it so that everything is easy to animate, you might want to use something that you can't damage. So something you can paint. So, some foam rubbers, using the build-up technique, for example. That's a good way to go. What else? It really depends. It depends on your budget. Depends on what you're willing to do, what your skills are. But if you want to keep it kind of simple, anything that's hard. Like, I can show you guys. This is one of the Bendy's armatures. These are the kinds that we sell. But it's all plastic, I 3D printed it. So when you animate it, you don't have to worry about crushing the clay, that kind of stuff. You can put fabric over a wire armature like this. You can put foam, cushion foam, and take some Pros-Aid, which is a liquid rubber adhesive. Pros-Aid is something so when you wrap the foam around it, you can sort of glue it in place. That's actually a really good way to go. I mean, you'll love animating that because it's, the fabric and stuff tends to bend nicely over foam like that. Okay, so now for the pickaxe here. Alright, so Janet says, last time I watched gameplay from Final Fantasy 7 and 8, and I feel lonely because almost all of my friends know this games. Oh. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know it. I have never played it. I know the name and everything, but I have a VR headset, so I play VR games now. That's kind of, what I get into when it's late at night and, I'm done with my work. I'll play some games. But let's see. So Cola says, "Have you seen Trace?" I made from Overwatch. Yeah. Yep. I mean, I have, but I don't know about everybody else. So what does a pickaxe really look like? I'm trying to think here. So I think there's like a bulge in the center where the wood goes through, right? It's like a bulge, and then you got your handle. It's a simple thing, right? But trying to visualize it. So this part's like where the handle comes through. Might be kind of cool to have the wood stick up from the top. Okay. Something like this. Not really super happy with it, but I think that'll work. But yeah, those Overwatch stop motions are great. And Justin Rash, he was the guy who he animated a lot of the CG sequences that are used in the game. And actually, I'm not sure if they're actually in the game. It might be just on YouTube. I don't really know how it works because I don't own the game personally. But he was part of the team that worked at that studio, and so he was part of the guy. He saw some of those not the stop motion puppets, but the statues that they made for it. They're like collector statues of all the characters, all the Tracer and all them. And he thought to himself that, oh, wouldn't it be kind of weird that these characters come to life at night and play Overwatch or whatever, and so the idea is that those stop motion figures are technically the model kits or action. Are they action figures or model kits or just statues? It might just be statues. So, anyways, that was something he thought of, and he did it, and they allowed him. I guess maybe they paid him. I'm not sure. But either way, it came out awesome. I mean, Justin's really a top-notch animator. So if you've seen that, Justin worked for Leica, so I guess he worked on... I don't know if he worked on Box Trolls, Paranorman. I know he worked on like two Leica films. It might be those two. I mean, he's a pretty busy guy. He doesn't really say a lot because he works really hard, but every now and then he'll release those kind of videos, which are really fun to watch. His own little, short stop motion films, paying homage to the game characters. Alright, so there's our pickaxe. Like I said, I'm going to put a little piece of wood on top just because it would be kind of fun to see the wood sticking out up here. There we go. I think that's pretty cool. Let's add some texture. Wood grain texture. Like this. That's gonna look good. Simple, but that's what we want. So I also have a rake, which we can create. That would be the last one. So after that, what else will be left to make? I know that there is a door. I had to make a door for the the first mother's house. And it has to be animated in such a way so it looks like it's opening and closing. And honestly, I don't know really how I'm going to do that. So I'm not going to make that right now. I might make that as like the last thing in the film. Yeah, I need to really think about that one. This would actually be cool if I could make this into a torch. But we're going to go with garden tools. And I don't play Fortnite. My son has played it. He's got it on his Xbox. So he has played that. And I mean, I played it once because everybody was like, oh, this is the greatest game. And I couldn't really get into it. I thought that the version of it where there's zombies and you build like a house out of stuff, or like a giant building, and then try to plan on where the zombies will go and defend yourselves from zombies. That seemed like it was a pretty cool thing. But they wanted to charge for that, and I'm like, am I really going to like this or not? You know, I think it was like 50 or 60 bucks for that. And I thought, that's really expensive for just one version of the game. I think they charge like different prices for different modifications or something. Or was it like $100 or something? It was a real lot of money for that. And I thought, I'm not going to pay that much for a game. You know, that's kind of out of my price point. So Colas is saying, do you know what kind of silicone would be used to make those puppets from the Overwatch puppets? I don't know. I'm not really sure. You know, if you want to ask, Justin Rash is on Facebook. He's the guy to ask. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if they used silicone or if it was foam latex. Might have been silicone, but I know that Ron Cole used to say that Soma Foma was one of the kinds you could use. But then he said that he didn't like that anymore. I think he's using something else. And I really trust Ron Cole when it comes to puppet making, you know, with the silicone materials. So that's another guy you might want to ask, is Ron Cole. So either Justin or Ron. I mean, I don't know if you're on Facebook. I mean, I'm just assuming. But if you don't know them on Facebook, you can always go on stopmotionanimation.com on their forums. Our forums have been kind of dead lately. I think that, I don't know what's going on, but not too many people are showing up. Not really sure if maybe I think the search engine ranking on the site went down a bit. So less people are finding our site, unfortunately. And I think it has to do with the fact that I wasn't updating the news as often. Which, you know, if you don't update the news on your webpage or your blog or whatever you've got, Google will tend to lessen the rank of your page. They consider it not as up-to-date as it should be. So I have been updating the news more often, just trying to get more people to find it. But if that doesn't happen, I don't know what will happen to the site. Keeping my fingers crossed. You guys can always share it if you want to help out, I guess. But for now, stopmotionanimation.com is a good place because most of the people that make puppets, well, they share their tips there. I mean, Nick Hilligas is always on there. He's pretty smart too with puppet making. So Nordican says you should work for Aardman. That would be fun. I'd like to work for them, but sadly, it probably won't happen. They are an awesome company, and Nick Park is, from what I've heard, a really super nice guy, and Peter Lord is also a super nice guy. Most of the directors are, pretty cool, and although it's kind of a high pressure job, you know, it's making stop motion. You gotta really work a lot of hours. So you gotta work hard, bit of pressure, but also fun. So I think I'm gonna add like 2 more little, what do you call these, teeth on a rake? Teeth, claws, what do you call them? Spindle things? Yeah, I'm gonna put it on the side maybe. Yeah, let me redo that. Janet's asking why some people in the USA today begin Halloween decorating. So why do they decorate their house for Halloween so early? That's a good question. I think it's weird. Some people decorate their house for Christmas, like a month and a half, 2 months ahead of time. I mean, the big date for that, for decorating for Christmas, I know is Black Friday, but yeah, it's true. I mean, the shopping centers try to sell stuff early too. Like, you're like, hey, it's not even 2 more months before Halloween, and they've got all these Halloween things for sale. Why is that? I really don't know. I guess people get excited. They're like, oh, let's decorate our house for Halloween. It's only 50 more days. We must do it. I'm gonna trim this up a little bit. Stick this on the side here. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of work. And I mean, it's like, I got what did I get done here in an hour? It's been over an hour since I started here. I mean, technically, I talked about the Q cam. So if you guys didn't watch the beginning part of the show, I talk about this virtual reality camera for $400, which might be stop motion capable. It's one of the first stop motion capable VR cameras, I believe. Because, like I say, you can hook it up to your camera, get a live view, and you can snap single images with that. That is, to me, stop motion capable. So if that's the case, it's pretty awesome. But anyway, where's my brain at? Losing track of what I'm talking about. It's hard for me sometimes to focus on my sculpting and talking. Is that weird or what? Anyways. Do I like Halloween? Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's a cool time of year to... People dress up, and do a little trick-or-treating. You get to be creative, and it's like, oh, if you want to make your house look scary and all that, you can. And of course, Nightmare Before Christmas is partly about Halloween, right? It's like Halloween Town and all that, so you can watch those old stop motion films and revisit Halloween Town, which is cool. So I'm going to texture this here with my tool before I put the rake part on there. This is gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to animate all this stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna put my rake on here. Like this. So I hope this will look like it's a rake. Should I put it that way or this way? Maybe this way. Or maybe slightly angled. Yeah, I think angled is pretty good. Because everything's got to be kind of flat. It's got to have some consistency there in terms of the look of all this. I think this will be good like that. Yeah. Alright, Colas, catch you later. Thanks for stopping by. It's fun to chat. And Janet says, I like Halloween candy. Well, that's cool. Yep. That's all part of it. Okay, so we've got our tombstone, our rock. Alright, so there it is. These are simple. If I get the point across. And we got our shovel. Our little like pitchfork for hay. Again, very simple, but that's what we're after because everything is kind of cartoony. And then our pickaxe and rake. Alright, so anyway, that wraps up our show for today. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys with all my ramblings. Hopefully you found it at least kind of interesting. Yeah, I think that my search engine rank is pretty bad right now. So if you guys want to share it and all that, feel free, anytime. And alright, so anyway, thanks everybody for stopping by, and I will see you all next week. See you later.